on to the main point of our talk today. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the General Assembly. Well, it's going to be a big deal, and it's a big deal that it's going to be right here in Cape Town. So thank you for the introduction. I'm Sally McFarlane. I actually work with what's called IDEA, the Inter-University Institute for Data-Intensive Astronomy. I work with Ketchel, actually, at that. I'm the Associate Director of Development and Outreach. So I'm in charge of dealing with what we're using the astronomy for in terms of development and outreach purposes. And I guess I'll have to give you a whole talk on IDEA between myself and Ketchel. But there we use cloud computing to try and analyze and work with and train students in dealing with some of the massive data surveys that are coming out of radio and other surveys such as the SKA and Meerkat. So how do we deal with that data? Well, cloud computing solutions and such. So I won't talk about that. Today I'm going to be talking about how you can get involved and starting the discussions for how you can get involved. And maybe you can give me suggestions as well for this very exciting event that's taking place. And you can see I put, it's T-minus 194 days, so time is ticking. But before I go on, I just want to play you a bit of a video just to get yourselves into the mood. Okay, so this is what we showed at the last General Assembly to try and get people excited to come to Cape Town. And actually the dates in the video were a bit wrong, but they've been adjusted now to the 6th to the 15th of August. So 194 days away. And you're going to see that website up the whole time. I thoroughly recommend going to take a look. Astronomy 2024. Yes, we've claimed astronomy in 2024.org. And there you can get all the details about what I'm discussing, or you can ask, get emails to the email addresses. So the exciting thing, before I go to that, the exciting thing about this is it's going to be right here, located right here. But before I go on with the General Assembly, I just want to talk to you a bit about the IAU. I don't know if we have any members here or in the audience or online, But just to give you a very brief history of this International Astronomical Union, this is the biggest gathering of astronomers in the world. And it's headed by Deborah Almagren at the moment, that's the president. And their mission here is to advance astronomy in all aspects. And this includes not only research, which is of course a big aspect, but also in outreach, education, and development. And the important thing is it's through global cooperation. So it's an international organization. And sure, it was founded over 105 years ago in 1919. So it's a very old organization. And it's based in Paris in France. And it's composed of individual members as well as national members, which include your societies, your national societies, or your academic institutions. And then it's organized into divisions, committees, as well as your working groups. Now, these working groups can cover things like women in astronomy. It can also cover things such as groups that are in charge of the naming conventions. And this is, in fact, one of the IAU is the leading authority in these naming conventions of both planetary, exoplanetary names, as well as stars. There's a working group just to name the stars and to categorize them, as well as to set these uniform definitions for astronomical principles. Now, it's also a member of the International Science Council, where it works to promote and safeguard your science of astronomy. So we also look at dark sky preservation. That's one of their major working groups as well. They also have offices. They have the office, the OAD, they have the OAO, which is the Office of Astronomy for Outreach. That's based in Japan. They have the OAE, the Office of Astronomy for Education. That's based in Germany. And the OAD, which some of you may have heard of here, that is the Office of Astronomy for Development, and that's headed by Kevin Govender, and it's hosted right here in Cape Town, in the observatory, actually. It's just down the road here. So that's a lot of information about the IAU. There are over 13,700 members. So remember, these are all individual members who've got their PhD, professional astronomers who've got their PhDs or higher across the world. So you can see it covers over 102 countries there and 85 national members. And you can see they've got some work to do coloring in Africa, but it's slowly covering. And now to get really to the crux of this matter. So they have a number of symposia every year, and then they, of course, have their triennial, so every 3 years they have the General Assembly, where they vote on, they have business meetings, they have research meetings, and all sorts of different division and working group meetings. But we'll get all into that. Now, what I've done here is I've just plotted in the over 100 years. So the first GA was held in Rome, in Italy, and that was in 1922. So it was founded in 1919, and at the time, they just had 9 member states, all in the Northern Hemisphere. Now, after that first General Assembly, and this is what actually I found quite exciting, is they added 10 more states, which included, so this was in 1922, which included South Africa. So South Africa joined the IAU, the first country in Africa, along with Australia and Brazil, the first 3 countries in the Southern Hemisphere. So that's quite exciting. We were already represented on the IAU right at the beginning. And when you consider our 200 plus history of astronomy, it makes a lot of sense. And our contribution to astronomy. So you'll see I've color-coded it where meetings have been held many more times in different countries. But this, all the way up till the last General Assembly, which was held in Busan in South Korea, and I'm going to go into that in a bit more detail. But you'll notice there's nothing in Africa until this year. And this is really one of the most exciting things. when we bid for this General Assembly, and we first bid at the 2015 General Assembly in Hawaii, we didn't get it. So that we lost out to Vienna at that time. Then in Vienna, we got it. We bid again and managed to get the General Assembly. And when we bid for it, yes, we're hosting it in Cape Town, but as you can see, we promoted it as a bid for Africa. And that really was one of our driving factors. How can we use the GA 2024, the momentum of it, to address challenges in astronomy in Africa and how we present ourselves to the world? So, as I mentioned, we have some amazing facilities, and this will give us the chance now to grow those facilities. Now, the GA 2024 is also being run in one of the running organizations for the GA 2024 is the African Astronomical Society. And their website is also worth checking out. If you just go and Google AFAS or African Astronomical Society, you can go and have a look at some of the amazing facilities that we have across the African continent. So not only in Southern Africa, of course, we've also got facilities. Of course, we've got the HESS telescope, a high energy stereoscopic system that's 12-meter dishes for high energy astronomy. We've also got, of course, the SKA coming. This is a bit of a distorted map. Now, of course, the SKA is quite a bit lower. Unfortunately, we don't have much astronomy in the middle central Africa. We've also got an observatory, which I went to go and visit, the Entoto Observatory in Ethiopia, which consists of at least 2 1-meter telescopes. They're now building another observatory, a big observatory in Lalibela, which unfortunately they've had to slow down on building because of war in the area. But they're waiting for that to get to be a bit safer before they can go back into the area. They've also got a big telescope, or they've got I think this is a 1.6-meter telescope in Egypt, but they are also installing a 6.5-meter telescope. They're building a 6.5-meter telescope in Egypt. And then they've got a number of telescopes. They've got a 32-meter dish, Ghana dish in Ghana, a radio dish in Ghana, and then the Ukaimeden Observatory has got a number of smaller half-meter size scale dishes. So really, astronomy in Africa is thriving and growing. And this is our chance, the GA 2024, to really promote that and build that. And of course, we've got beautiful observatories here, including, I didn't have a picture of it, but right here in Western Cape. So, let's go here. So what can you expect from an IAU GA 2020? Oh, sorry, rather, what can you expect from a General Assembly? And I was very fortunate in that I went to both the Vienna General Assembly in 2018 and in 2022, I went to Busan for their General Assembly. Now, 2022 was actually a year later, and that's due to COVID. They had to delay the meeting. So what they found, a group of us went to this meeting there, and you can see we were very colorfully, we wanted to bring the African spirit to this GA 2022. And very exciting is our first showcase of what we can do with the potential. So what can you expect? Well, the the General Assembly in 2022 took place, as I said, in Busan in South Korea. And it was delayed slightly due to COVID, which of course caused a lot of issues. They decided really at the last minute to hold it in hybrid format. Now, the General Assembly is not just a showcase for the research that's being done, but also a showcase for the venue that it's being held at. and also the astronomy of that country and venue. So I went to some amazing astronomy sites in Busan, and also got to experience the culture of South Korea when we went. It was held in their equivalent large conference center called the Bexco. And now I had to write this down on my hand, but it's the Gwangan Bridge. See, I remembered it now. This is the Diamond Bridge. Now, it's such a big thing, the General Assembly, that usually there's you have to do something that's some pizzazz, something special. And what they did is they got this amazing diamond bridge. I'm not sure if anyone in the room has heard of it. And they projected for the world to see. You can see it was the year of the tiger there. They projected welcome astronomers from all over the world. So now we've got to think, what can we do in short of presenting welcome to the world on Table Mountain, I guess. But so we have to see what we can do here. But it's a full program. The General Assembly lasts over 2 weeks. It used to be 10 days, but including business meetings. But they've moved those business meetings now virtual, and also to save costs on the venues, because those venues are very expensive. But you can see it's a crammed program, and these don't change much from year to year. You have a number of symposia, 3-day symposia, a number of focus meetings, 2-day focus meetings. You have a number of what's called division meetings. So this is the divisions. You've got divisions across the spectrum. So we've got divisions for STARS, we've got divisions for heritage, outreach and education. We've got a division for galaxies and such. So each of those divisions will have their own set of meetings. Then of course, you've got your office meetings. You've got prize lectures. You can see opening ceremonies, welcome receptions. It really is the World Cup of astronomy events, as well as a closing ceremony and flag handover. And then you've got outreach programs and social events, which is very important to show the country that you're going to. So at this meeting, there was 1,860. And you can see that there was a portion of those were online, some were international guests in person, and some were local in person. And of those, actually 60 were African. This is a bit unusual. It was because COVID restrictions were still in force. So actually, a lot of people were turned back because they hadn't had their vaccinations. I heard people coming, one person here, Daniel, NASA president, he actually was just about to board the plane. The day before, he had his test and it tested positive. He felt fine, but he couldn't go. So really, there were very strict restrictions in place. This is unusual. Usually, they expect around 2,500. So what was exciting about this is that we had over 30 presentations within the program that were given by African delegates. Another big feature of this meeting is the exhibit space. And this is really, for myself, I love getting swag. So this is going to each of those exhibits and seeing what they have to offer as well is amazing. But also getting to experience, we had the GA 2024 exhibit, you can see there. Yeah, there we go. We've got some nice swag. Yeah, we're going to think of nice things that we can give out. By the way, if you have any questions, please feel free to stop me and ask. Otherwise, we'll save them for the end. But you can see that there were also very creative stands at the different offices. This is the OAD stand, which has a gigantic Africa ball that you'll see for sure at this GA in August. And then a number of different organizations. So this was unfortunate. Well, this was 21 exhibits in total, which is unfortunately quite a low number, once again, because of the COVID restrictions. They were expecting over 50, so they had to reduce the room size. This year, we expect a lot more. So we wanted to bring the African spirit to the sun. For this reason, we also held competitions. We got people who gave away beaded things, but of course, we also had impromptu dance sessions with Jerusalem. But what I'd like you to notice, we even got on the side the President General, the dance along. What this resulted in is people asking us, will they be dancing? Of course, they'll be dancing here at the GA. So this all ends with a closing ceremony where they announce the future GA host country and, well, the next one. And then they also hand over a really exorbitantly or large flag. And you can notice I cracked the nod there. I stood along with the representative from the DSI and one of our chairs of the committee, as well as the NRF head. And I don't know how that happened. I was just sitting in the room and they needed a fourth person because the fourth person hadn't arrived. The African astronomical president hadn't arrived. So I cracked the nod, and I can tell you that that flag is heavy, but it's also extra heavy knowing what you're holding. Anyway, that has traveled all the way to Cape Town. And so now it's just lying in wait for when we can hand it over to the next recipients, which will be Rome again. So they in 2027. So what about the main thing that we're all here for? And that is the General Assembly, which is taking place from 6th to 15th of August in Cape Town, South Africa. There's the website again. Really from the start, and I've mentioned this, we wanted to make it more than a General Assembly. We wanted to use this occasion to innovate, to be audacious in the way we were thinking. Because it was the first time in Africa, we wanted to show the rest of the world that we can do this. And there have been expectations that we could fail. So how can we show them that we've got this in hand and we can use it to change the way that people think about conferencing, as well how we can use this momentum to help with some of the challenges that we're experiencing in astronomy. And we developed this vision. You can see the vision document, it's online, and it just talks to each of these points, how we can use this momentum to help with the people of Africa, with your experience, with the infrastructure, etc. It also speaks to how the amateur astronomy community, how we can involve them, how we can build them, how the amateur astronomy community can get involved. So this was our vision. And with this in mind, we developed our 3 goals. One being impact. We want to make sure that this conference has an impact. Enhance your research in Africa to the rest of the world, as well as our involvement, collaborations with improve those, enhance those collaborations, community growth and global collaborations. Sustainability. I mean, people are coming from all around the world, all the way down to Cape Town. These are long flights. Astronomers are known to have massive carbon footprints. So how can we offset that? We want people to come in person. Yes, we're going to have a fully hybrid model so that people can watch online or can engage and participate online. But we're thinking of different ways. I mean, things such as providing water bottles and water stations around. So you're not constantly having reusable single-use bottles. I mean, having bottles that are reusable. Also, there was a suggestion of putting seeds in the name badges, which I thought, so you can, once you're finished, if it's not got plastic in it, you can plant your seeds. Or planting a tree, so if you have any suggestions along this line, please let us know as well. And something that's very exciting is the accessibility. So this is the hybrid nature. It's not good enough to go back to in person. We have to be accessible to as many people across the world as possible. And one of the most exciting things is that not everyone can afford what is perhaps exorbitant fees or the registration costs. So what we've done is, and what we're going to do is all the talks will be fully accessible, will be streamed online for free. So anyone in the room here, if you see something in the program that you want to watch, you can watch it online on YouTube. We're still deciding on the channel. But so fully open access. This hasn't really been done in a meeting of this, or certainly not with the GA, and there are reservations. How are we going to get the amount of people to come or pay for a virtual attendance participation if you can just watch it for free? Well, watching for free, you won't be a participant. You'll be able to watch, but you won't be able to engage with the different participants at the conference. If you pay virtually online, you pay a reduced rate. You don't pay the in-person rate, but you do get to engage and participate on the online platforms. And then, of course, there's the in-person fees. So really impact, sustainability, and accessibility. So this is our rough program. It looks exactly this. The writing's very small. I'm sorry about this. I really recommend just going to that site. It's on the Astronomy 2024 site, but it's a standard procedure. We've got symposia, we've got focus meetings, we've got the prize talks, we've got the business meetings, your division meetings, all of this is all set up by the IAU. So just to talk a little bit more about some of these talks that is going to be happening, what you can expect to see, what you can, if you don't register, what you can watch online for free. You'll be able to watch talks. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the symposia. So we have 6 symposia. One of the symposia is on gravitational wave astrophysics. So very exciting. We've had some amazing recent results in gravitational waves detections. This will all be covered. They'll get the latest researchers to come and give, invited speakers to come and give talks on those results. And we can find out what has happened and what is happening and future planned observations. Then we've got a symposium on advances in solar observations and in space weather understanding. So very important. I don't know if anyone here has been to the Hermanus Magnetic Observatory, which I think is now SANSA. It's a wonderful place to go and visit and see some of the work that they're doing in space weather and to see how the sun interacts with our corona, with our the Earth's atmosphere. And just to see that impact of the sun on its outer surroundings. We've also got, of course, JWST. Now, JWST actually has 2 symposia. They have the early cosmic history. So there they're going to talk about how JWST has looked and researched our early cosmic history. We also have neutral hydrogen in and around galaxies. So how we can use neutral hydrogen, H1, to study how galaxies are evolving. And really, this looks at the stellar formation within those galaxies. And what's exciting is that this will look into particularly some of the big radio astronomy, observatories that are coming out in future. These things are massive. So we'll be able to, these radio telescopes are massive. We'll be able to look further out into the universe than we've ever done before. So we'll be able to study further back. We'll be able to study a greater evolution or the evolutionary journey of galaxies in better detail than has been researched before. And this symposium will really go into studying that galactic evolution. And then we have the last 2 symposia. I mentioned JWST was giving 2 talks. JWST will also be looking at planetary science. So you might have seen some of the results that's come out of JWST observing these exoplanets, well, that symposium will have a look at those results and what to expect from future observations. And then last but not least, looking at active galactic nuclei and all the results that you can see with that. Now, if you want to learn more about these, you can go onto the website and have a look at the posters, and each of these symposia have their own website. There'll also be a number of focus meetings. I'm not going to go all into them. They were asked to produce posters, and I just think some of these posters are absolutely beautiful. But you can see it really spans a number of different topics. So if any of these topics take your interest, I really recommend having a look at the program. These are all 2-day meetings that will be happening, and you'll be able to watch online, or if you participate here.
Is talking
Fancy you should ask that. I'm not you can see there, if you go to the website, I'm not entirely sure who is speaking. I don't know if I saw they might not have had it presented, but you can see there's a few familiar names. Ian's there, a number of different speakers here. But these are just two I've highlighted, which may be of particular interest to the group here. And that's because the first one is studying the astronomy across Africa, what I detailed a bit earlier. And the second one is the history of astronomy in South Africa during the late modern period. So these are really ones you might want to have a look out for. So how can you get involved? Now, I've mentioned all the research as well, but what about other things that we can do? How can amateur astronomers get involved? And along with the research program, we'll also have an active outreach and education component. And this is where we invite everyone in the room and everyone listening and all your friends and everyone in the community to get involved and to provide us with suggestions, to think of ways that we can use the momentum of this conference to really start tackling some of those challenges. And I'm one of the co-chairs of the Outreach and Education Committee for AFAS in the GA 2024. And as this, we're going to be running various projects. This includes, and I'm just going to go quickly over these first ones, an Astro quiz, which will be targeting no, targeting is the right word, but which will be, targeting school-age children running astronomy quizzes. It's been run very successfully here in South Africa. We want to try and extend it to the rest of Africa over the coming months. We want to offer school community visits for delegates who come to South Africa to go, give them the opportunity to go out into schools and communities to talk about some of their work or to run activities, astronomy activities. Then we're going to have an Astro Week where we'll encourage people to run different astronomy events. So stay tuned for this one. That's still in the works. This is really getting everyone involved, running outreach activities during a dedicated week this year. Now, those three are going to be run, well, the school and community visits will be run during the GA. Astro Quiz, Astro Week will also be run throughout the year now. But some of the ones that might interest you quite a bit and to get more involved with are some of these other projects that we're running. So the first one that I want to mention is a campaign that we started last year. It's called the Africa Lookup Campaign, and it's based on a very simple idea that everyone can look up at the shared skies. You don't need equipment, you don't need telescopes. It certainly helps, but everyone can appreciate the night sky, which is why we have star parties and such. So this Africa Lookup campaign has different projects which just actively encourages people to not only look up at the night sky, to look beyond what you're seeing and to start learning about what you're seeing as well. Also to look up in a positive way and to also look up and research our history and cultural side of things in astronomy. So this includes a lot of different projects. Look Up and Share. We share our cultural heritage, our history with astronomy. Look Up to the Arts is an arts competition that will be run for school children. The Ambassador Program combines a group of astronomy enthusiasts, perhaps also in this room, whose job it is really is to using what's called the Cascade Outreach Model, is to run astronomy outreach events in their communities, basically to take the GA back to their communities, to take African astronomy back to their communities, and also to bring their communities to the GA and to the rest of the world. So with this, they'll organize, we'll share resources with them and develop this, well, produce this army of dedicated outreach practitioners across Africa. And you can see we've already started growing our groups, one in South Africa and of course one in Morocco there. So I mentioned the Cascade Outreach, and I just want to touch on this because it's a fascinating model and a very impactful model to use. I would thoroughly recommend going to the IDEA website to look at the video that was produced by the late Professor Carolina Odman, Governor Odman, who talked on this model very well and is really quite an inspirational video. So what this is based on, it's, as it says there, an outreach framework that's designed to promote diversity, inclusivity, and relatable role model. So what it means is that, for example, myself, if I train some students, I wouldn't go directly into the communities myself because I'm not really a relatable role model. I train people from those communities who then go into the communities that they come from themselves. So in small career steps, we build relatable role models in large numbers. So I train the students, or the professors will change, or the doctorates will train their students, who will then go back to their communities to spread the message in the community themselves and in their own languages as well, which is important to break down that language barrier. So that's basically what the ambassadors' roles will be. And then also look up to the sky. So producing, encouraging people through stargazing events and resource sharing that's then translated into multiple African languages. Now, the last couple yeah. There we go.
Please make sure that you are muted.
There we go. So the last couple of ways to engage, I just want to discuss. One of these things, you might have already seen the expression for hosts go out already. For this event, I know Kitchell shared it with me again, and I'm glad that she did because that means it's getting out into the community. If you haven't seen this, please get in touch with me. We are inviting astronomy facilities across Africa. Löwenboschfontein Observatory is a prime example to host delegates, to hold sessions where delegates can then get involved, can come for a number of nights to experience our country and the different observatory sites around it. Of course, Löwenboschfontein is ideally suited, so I hope that this expression, call for hosts, will go out. You'll find it. If you haven't found it, get in touch with me so you can sign up and we can see how we can get the delegates in touch with you so we can arrange visits. Also, if that's something that...
That's going to have to happen quite quickly because people are going to be booking their airline tickets.
Yes.
If they're going to be spending extra days in going to Löwenboschfontein, then they'll need to be booking that extra time now. And they'll need to be, getting encouraged and being shown how to do this, or that we need to work out a package.
Yes.
Transportation and accommodation and the whole shebang.
Yeah, so the idea is that the host will arrange the package that is being out, but the delegate themselves will actually pay for the tour and the experience, the accommodation and travel. But yes, you're absolutely right. It needs to be done now. That's why the expression it has gone out, and we hope to have the number of posts by the end of latest by February. At the same time, we'll advertise with the delegates themselves just to send out. Are there any places in Africa or observatories in Africa you'd like to particularly go to? Just so that they're aware of it. We've already had people who want to travel and they just want to know, get put in contact.
I can imagine that would work quite well with Sutherland, you know.
Yeah.
And Sutherland don't want to go. But say Leeuwenboschfontein, the problem is that if a host is organising the package, you've got to pay for that accommodation in advance and transport. And then if nobody takes it up, then you're going to be out of pocket.
Yeah, so this is essentially what this will do is if you've got the availability, I'm not to say like if there's no availability, if it's too complicated, that's fine. It's just to put interested delegates in touch, or even just to give them awareness of what facilities are around and to get them in touch with each other. And maybe then they can work that into their program. So yeah.
Yeah, because there's ways around it, there's ways
Yes.
to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's just the timing.
Yeah, the timing of 194 days, for sure. So you can see actually there's a picture of me standing in front of, now I don't know if you know, the largest planetarium is in Ethiopia, a 22-meter planetarium, and it's a beautiful dome. I can talk more about that, but we'll move on. Also, if you haven't heard, there's a bamboo planetarium in Nairobi in Kenya, which is fascinating. And maybe one day we can get the builder of that, Susan Marabana, to give a talk on her process for building it. The last thing I would just want to talk about, and this is really the main thing that I want to talk about and where everyone can get involved, and I really encourage you to get involved. We will be holding an astronomy festival that will run concurrently with the main program, the 2 weeks of the GA, where we invite people to hold their own stargazing parties, to hold their own events, drawing classes, stargazing parties, tours, or planetarium shows or such. And what we'll do is we'll release a call for this, which you can sign up for, just to promote the activity that you'll be running. And what we'll do is we'll share this combined program with the public. So we'll make sure that it gets around to the public and the delegates, that they can then contact you and sign up for the different events. Those 2 weeks, that astronomy festival is really to get up the motivation to hold these events at that time. So I really encourage the astronomy community to get involved, to hold those, start planning to have those stargazing parties, because you will, especially at the waterfront or anyway, we will help to advertise and help out where we can. We'll have volunteers, our ambassadors will be able to help you wherever possible. So start thinking now. So just one of the last few slides. How will you now use, I've talked about some of our projects. This is pretty much what we've been working on, but if you have ideas, it's not too late. Let us know. How will you use the momentum of excitement of the upcoming GA 2024 to tackle some of the challenges in astronomy? And this is where actually Ian Glass and Ketchell will be mentioning this a bit later. So, for example, a challenge in astronomy could be, I've heard recently that the SAO is looking a bit, it's starting to get a bit run down. It's in a, I'm going to leave Ketchell to describe. So how can we use this momentum? The world's astronomy eyes are going to be on us. How can we use this attention to start things happening? Or at least to tackle some of these challenges. I'll let you speak about it just after this. But maybe we can discuss that in just a bit. I just want to leave you also with this thought. I've got one last video, a few words from the chairperson of the IUJ National Organizing Committee, that is Kevin Governor, and has a few exciting words. We wanted, that was when we started the registration, we wanted a short video to get people's attention. So hence the music. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. I invite you all to get involved. If you can't attend, register, that's by all means not the end of the journey. We invite you to participate in all our different activities. You'll have the opportunity to watch all the talks online during those 2 weeks. But also, we need your help to make sure that this event is something that will live on in people's memories and really expose our community to the world. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Are there any questions?
Oh, yeah. Right, so this is very similar to the International Astronautical Congress in 2011. And I was the head media person for that.
Do you want to maybe speak up to the? Come up to the stage.
Where's the mic?
I don't know, in this area, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so I was in charge of the media or the publicity for the International Astronautical Congress 2011, which is very similar in size to this. So we had 3,500 delegates. We took over the CTIC, CTLTT, whatever you call
Yes,
it.
something I forgot to mention, it's happening at the CTIC.
We have all those letters.
Yeah.
And it had a massive exhibition hall. And what happened there was that this was all highly technical stuff. I mean, it's not where astronomy, I think, appeals more to the general public, and it's easier for the amateur community to be involved in astronomy than in satellite engineering, which is, mainly what the IAC was about. Although the IAC was, as Keith probably remembers, it was kind of astronauts are us. There's lots of astronauts there, which was pretty kick-ass. It was very nice. But there, they had a couple of days where the general public could go along to the exhibition. And there were other ways in which the general public could actually go and do stuff. And so what I'm wondering is, because it sounds to me, and by the way, some of this is new to me, although I do work in the field and everything, I haven't had it, my knowledge of what's going on with the GA is a bit out of date, or, it hasn't been consolidated. So I really don't know everything about it. So what I'm wondering is, what can we, because I probably won't be registering for it. I'm not a real astronomer, shock. But how can we, enjoy various activities apart from, doing outreach with delegates?
Yes.
And doing Astrofest stuff with members of the public. So that's number one question. Are there other ways apart from watching online, which is, you can do that from the Yucatan Peninsula if you want. And the other is, on Ian Glass. Ian Glass wrote a short, extremely well worded piece the other day, highlighting the woeful state of the heritage objects on this site. Which, as you know, is a proper South African heritage listed site. And that we're going to have all these delegates, and they're going to be crawling around this place, expecting free coffee, which I hope that's on the list, because we did a coffee stand for our big SKA planning thing, and that went down really well. And they're going to expect free coffee, and they're going to expect to go into the McLean telescope and see something other than bird shit. That's what you see now if you go there. And actually a working telescope with shutters open, where the dome turns round, where the floor goes up and down, and where somebody's there to operate the telescope. And none of that happens right now. So we are hoping that, that Ian Glass's very good little document is going to stimulate someone in government to prick up their ears and fork out, or something. So that's two things really. And I think that we as the amateur community here, we could volunteer to be part of cleaning parties. for example, or get busy with the brasso or something like that. I mean, the obvious thing we can do, obviously, is sort of, stand around with telescopes and show people the night sky, and maybe go to schools and the science centre and all that kind of thing. But those are the obvious ones.
Yeah.
But I think that the sorting out this place is really, really important.
Yeah.
Something that we can get involved in, and also how else is the IAC General Assembly going to be welcome of the amateur communities? I mean, are we going to be simply help meets for their delegates, or are we going to be able to participate more fully? Is there going to be a public day for the exhibition, for example?
Thank you very much. And some very important topics and points that you bring up there. And in fact, it's not too late to consider all of these things. In fact, that idea of having public days has been thrown around and is very possible. In fact, it's now that you've mentioned it, I will mention it again at our next meeting. At the Basan meeting, they opened it up to school groups and also the public. I know, just going to the World Science Forum, which was held 2 years ago here at the CTICC, the exhibits for the whole week were empty until they opened up to school groups on the last day and the public. And then suddenly there was interest, there were questions, and I'd like to see this being promoted. So this is definitely something that we'll have a look at.
Who's the press person for the
Press person. There's going to be multiple press people. We still need to work with big groups at the moment. We haven't selected them. We had a media company, but they charged too much. So we're now doing this in-house. We might actually we'll get someone with press experience.
It's a huge job.
Yeah,
It's a massive job. I mean, I certainly wouldn't do it ever again. It actually destroyed my left ear. Seriously, for life, because I was on that phone all the time and bashing the phone against my ear. So.
And this, we definitely need, there'll be media presence at all the talks, especially the opening ceremony. Especially if we want to get, for example, the opening ceremony, we definitely want to get some governmental officials to be there, so either ministers, if not the president. And for that reason, I mean, there'll be lots of press, there'll be media, they'll have to be monitored.
It's very difficult to engage the press in anything with science, but not impossible.
Yeah.
As long as you give them free coffee.
Yeah, we can, yes.
So,
Yes.
on the topic of the Astro Quiz,
Yes.
I know that East Africa there's a very active program involved in the Astro Quiz, and I've been very fortunate to see
Oh,
some local people that's been involved with it and local schools. Of course, there's the respect program that get run through the year called these Astro Quizzes. But specifically for this event during that period, is there anything that's going to be focused or a focused Astro Quiz session that schools can get involved with, or is it going to be as part of a bigger program?
this is, well, we've got this program that will almost culminate in, it's actually, I think the final day is the 8th of August, when the finals students will be chosen, at least in South Africa, and they will then have the opportunity to go up on stage at one of the events and to accept their awards in front of the delegates. But now that you mention it, having actual quizzes for students and for delegates, that would be a wonderful idea, I think. And to have that these are the sort of ideas that we want to put into, we've got all these different innovative or special ideas. So if you have any suggestions like this, please send them to me. Like while you were speaking about the restoration of the SAO, this is something that the NRF, in fact, should be taking up for all of their different facilities. And this is also engagement with the amateur astronomy group, is that's a wonderful example. So these sort of ideas, yes, let's put them into play. And if you want funding for these ideas, well, we have some funding as well. We can source funding. I mean, that's a big claim. We can try to source funding for these ideas, but let your mind go wild. While we've got all these people coming, the wealth of astronomers coming to South Africa and Cape Town. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was looking at that period of when you guys are here, and 3rd of August is new moon. And then
Interesting.
going into first quarter exactly during that period when the conference is taking place. So during that time of, like, we like to do in the first quarter, it's observe the moon. It's very much part of the astronaut.
Is that when you can see the lunar eggs? No, that's
very close. It would be a day or so apart. So, you know, very much something that you can do, and like has been done by the greater group here is to give the major event at the work fund to give that will actually get involved with that. So, you know, very much made a big driver that will be that can be thought about. Because
that's
it's all going to be nothing. First quarter is an excellent opportunity for something else.
and this is, it's to get the delegates involved, but also to get the public involved and get the public involved with the GA 2024 as well. So that's a fantastic idea. This is what I like to hear, yes. Yes.
I went to the Astronomy 2024 website. If my arithmetic is correct, registration is about 7,000 rand, and online registration is about 4,000 rand. So pensioners like me are going to depend upon clicking on YouTube or Zoom to get access to those papers. So will they put up in advance the titles of every paper as well as the YouTube code, so we can diarize what we want to watch?
Absolutely. You'll have, I mean, that program will be fully updated online, so you can carefully go and see. The only issue is you won't have access to the actual platform. So, but I mean, that's, but you will still be able to watch all of the talks. And if you want to, there'll be lively, I'm sure there'll be lively discussions on the channels, the YouTube channel, there'll be comments enabled. So you can still have those discussions as well. And also we'll provide contact details for the speakers so you can ask them more about, yeah. Right.
So that sounds super exciting. Do you know what the 2 public lectures are going to be about?
Not yet, but they'll be based on. We'll have to. The IAU president-elect is coming next week, so I think that might be one of the topics. But I know it might be based on one of the symposia, although those might be some of the plenary talks. So the public talks, which will be open access as well, that will be streamed online. No, I don't know. We still need to find some good names, and we've been thinking who to get, and there's some controversial names that we might have to stay away from, but we want to get some big names.
Will it be at the convention centre?
Yes, those will take place in the big venue, but they will be streamed online as well. And so that's exciting. That's an interesting thing. Those public talks will potentially, I mean, I'd have to check this and we have to confirm, but those might be free to the public. So some public talks, obviously. So yeah, and there'll be other opportunities. We'll have events, public talks at the planetarium. We'll have outside events as well.
I didn't see any mention of astrophotometry.
That's a very good point, and actually something that's been raised, that we need to take this opportunity. So for that reason, there's also going to be a number of side meetings as well. One such side meeting will specifically speak to the astrotourism.
But that would be delegates registered.
that those side meetings we'll have to see. They might be treated separately, so you might be able to register for them separately. I don't know if they'll also be streamed, but I mean, we'll try and see if we can stream them. If they're within the venue as well, yes, we'll see if we can, then they'll have the setup, the hybrid setup to stream it.
Because there's also other ideas around that.
Mm.
For example, astronomy for mental health.
Yes. Yeah, no, and that's actually also another one of the biggest problems is that none of those focus meetings or very few of the focus meetings or none of the symposia actually address outreach or education or development. I think there's one in the focus meetings that maybe speaks to education, but otherwise it's very underrepresented. And those sort of talks are left usually for the division meetings, which is, yeah, I think there's one focus meeting on education, which is just not good enough. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, thank you very much. Yeah. Oh, yeah.